Hello, hello YouTube. We're going to be joining Facebook here in a moment. We good? hmm It will be very interesting to see where the market goes. Let me know when I'm live. Am I live on Facebook? I'm live. Ladies and gentlemen, due to overwhelming popular demand, the Newsbeat Challenge will share with you it once more. Also, Canadian Solar. Didn't think I would mention that names. They're reporting earnings this week, and you're going to be very interested to hear it. I am Mark Melnick, and this is the Newsbeat Show. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Newsbeat Show. We're going to share with you the Newsbeat Challenge for this coming week, show you the names in which we're looking to apply our algorithmic strategies for, and also just a discussion on what is maybe the next step to your success. You know what I found funny? As we're just growing, I think we're the most, I don't even think it's remotely close to most consistent room on the planet. I say that just based on your powerful feedback. And you guys might think it's a boast or something, but I've been trying to achieve this dream for 12 years. I mean, I've been a stock trading broadcaster. I mean, this is what I'm aspiring to be. And I want to actually show you where I'm going to take you guys to the next level. And we're going to have a very interesting um, is we're going to have a very interesting discussion also on algorithmic trading. I just want to share with you the agenda today. These are the names we're going to go over. Relax is actually not a name, that's more of a command. Um, Monday, Relax. Tuesday, JD. Wednesday, LKM, CGC, BABA, Walmart, CSIQ, NVIDIA, and AMAT. We're going to go through all those names, and even more importantly, we're going to share with you number 6, is algo trading good for you? And before I get into the Newsbeat challenge, we're going to talk about that. By watching the show, you're agreeing told me, Mark Melnick, NT3 Live, harmless and not responsible for anything. If you don't agree, exit the video. If you do agree, just keep watching because you are agreeing to those terms. Okay, very, very simple. I was actually trying to, the way my mind works, and you're talking to the brain of a college dropout over here. So just keep in mind my credentials might not be as high as you would think they would be in some groups. But I want to actually explain just the way my brain thinks. The way my brain thinks is when I find out information that the majority of these traders that follow some of those millionaire services out there, I'm not going to drop their names, the millionaire services, and all these great things that just look so amazing. They just look so tasty, but I have to stop and just look at the facts. Why are 98% of you, more than 98% of you, failing? Why are these prop firms making 99.5 to 99.9% of their money on straight up fees? Why aren't traders becoming successful considering that we by far have the largest wealth of knowledge, the largest wealth of education that Wall Street has ever seen? You can't really say there was more education a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago than there is today. But the problem is it changed. It went from education to very simple strategies, just like almost like trying to conform to the human laziness factor. Like, I order in food. I do it once every single week. I order in food. And it's a nice feeling. There are no dishes to do. There's no cleaning to do. There's no cooking to do. Just pick up the phone, tell them what you want. Somebody's going to cook the food, deliver it to you. But as the vast majority of us trade, how would you order in takeout food in the sense of the trading world? And that's what I wanted to really talk about today, that there are things that you could do to trade for you. Is this water or vodka? I'll let you be the judge. Ding. Okay. I would say I mean, my guess is that I would have to say it's hard because you have long-term investors. I mean, but on a day in and day out basis, like 90, I would say 99% of the money is done by robots and the other 1% is shared by humans on an intraday basis. That is kind of an interesting thing of saying it. So maybe us being human is the hardest part about our trading. Us being human, we come with emotions. We got into an argument with a friend, a wife, a husband, a boss, a coworker, an employee, uh, family, neighbor, stranger, anything. You could have gotten into a bad state of mind, certain bills, certain worries, certain concerns, certain things that robots do not possess. And with the vast majority of money being made on Wall Street by these robots, it used to be a time where the little guy could never break in. Well, if you're not familiar how it works, I'll share it with you in a nutshell. They were trading on fractions of a fractions of a fraction of a second. And what they would do is they would do what's called collocates or colos, and they would try to get a server literally located on the exchange floor. And the closer you were to the main part of the server inside that room, the more expensive it cost. It's almost like when you go to, for example, I went to a Yes concert. You remember them? The one with John Anderson, of course. You wouldn't watch, you'd listen to the other one too? Hmm. And I was sitting front row to watch John Anderson. Where I was sitting, whatever, it was a special treat. Where I was sitting, the seats were $1,500. And I had five of them for my family and I to just sit up front and watch John Anderson. It was, I don't do this often, all right? It was something, it's like my vacation. The seat behind me, which was in the Basie Theater here, I would say is about, I don't know, 3 feet behind me. What do you think those tickets cost? Directly behind me, maybe three. It was like packed, like an auditorium. What do you think the seat behind me cost if my seat cost 1,500? Wilson thinks 1,400. Colton thinks $5. You're both wrong. 1,250, you think, BT? Jack 800. More money, Kevin? That's interesting. Lee 1,000. $750. They were 50% as effective. Jack, you are the winner with the guess at 800. So the people behind me were paying 50% as much. I didn't have a better view per se. Like in hindsight, when I was looking at it, I was in front. I didn't see somebody's neck and face behind me. I was looking, right at, the entire Yes band. But I found it interesting that when it actually comes to black box trading, where you're actually co-located in the room of the exchange changes the price because you're whatever that much closer to submitting your information through the exchange. Now, they cost, depending on where you're located, could cost millions of dollars a year to just be able to park your server there. You want to talk about where's the real most expensive real estate on the planet? Located inside the Algo black box room, the server side of the stock exchange. That is the most expensive real estate that I have ever seen in my life. You'd pay for 5 square feet. Like, how many millions of dollars for 5 square feet of room? That aside, what if it was possible for you? What if, I'm just talking out loud, what if these strategies were black box coded for you? And with technology today, as technology increased, a lot of the educational direction went into more bling. I mean, if I just look through my email box, I probably get around I'm guessing, I don't know, 50, 55, 60 different play in my spam folder. And they just, and I go through them and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. How about the trader who shows, you know, that they made 5 figures in Tesla, just one name? And I'm looking at it and I'm like just going through it and it looks very pretty. But if it was effective in terms of not for the person but for you, because that's ultimately what people do. Here is here's the switch around. You look at a strategy, you see somebody succeeding with it, and then you try it, and the results vary massively. We're talking over the long run. Your testimony, you have a good day, your testimonials will be showed for the next month or two or three or four or five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Still, 98% of traders are failing. So that was always my number one goal to try to solve as a broadcaster. And I failed at it for many years, admittedly, which no one, broadcasters don't like to talk about that. But I was around for 12 years. And how do I know I failed? I wasn't sitting there reading P&L statements. You would just see the turnover rate would be 95, 96% of your room every year. Like every year, you just had like a revolving door. It was just like a whole group of people in, whole group of people out, and all these new names. And the funny thing is, when you talk to these traders, how many traders want to be involved trading somewhat for the rest of their life? How about you guys in the room? Put in a comment on Facebook or YouTube. When you started trading, right now, forget about when you started. Right now, this second, do you want to be trading for the rest of your life? I do. What are you kidding me? This is the greatest job in the world. Why isn't anybody saying no? Lee, yes. Wilson, yes. Brian, yes. Pavo, yes. Claudio, yes. Amy, yes. Jose, yes. Jack, Rick, Amy, Pat, AJ, Ron, Frank, Shelby, Colton, all yeses. Well, AJ said can't help it, right? You can't help the feeling. I'll take Ellen, yes. Paul, yes. We also have the highest concentration of women on Wall Street, women traders, and women are far better traders than men on average. That's to me, I don't even think that's an opinion. If you saw the statistical evidence I have of that, you would just say it's a fact at this point. You want to trade for the rest of your life. So here is the actual physical switch around, and I'm going to present maybe just a thought for a solution, right? We're here to help you, right? 98%, somebody makes $1 million, in my example, the $10,000 on Tesla. Let's say 100 people, 200 people fly into that to try it out. What I am saying is maybe 4 of those people, maybe 5, rounded up, will be there in a year from now. Yeah, if you asked all 200 of those traders, I guarantee you, short of the most unique story, that if not every single one of them would say yes. Paul, yes. Salvador, yes. Art, yeah, yeah. But of course, Art, right? So that's the problem. That's how you know when you're failing for the people you speak to, and that's how you know when you're succeeding. So the way I went about this was switching and changing the way I broadcast, and I am still evolving and changing with the market as we speak. And my thought is, what if the hardest part of your trading is that you're a human being? How many traders out there see a trade go off, can predict it ahead of time, but we're too late to the trade? And I'm not saying it happened once or twice. I'm saying it happens at least 50% of the time or more. 50% of the time or more. Go in the room. How many traders want to jump in a trade? They watch it go by, but half the time or more, it goes without. I'm not talking about you flood strategists who watch 50 names and you watch the one that worked. You say, oh, I should have been in it. No, no, Captain Hindsight. We are not referring to you in this discussion. Brian, Andrew, Rick, Wilson, Claudio, Jack, Pat, Shelby, Chong, Rich. All of you too, right? See that? What if the way you thought could be given to a robot whose sole job in life, see how I'm applying life to the machine? What if the only job it had in life was to serve you in the exact method that you told it to? Because all these things make sense in concept. Wouldn't a robot be able to react quicker than you, sell quicker than you, decipher quicker than you, do everything quicker than you? Of course they would. I mean, in fact, that's how we even invented the methodology that allows you to predict support and resistance levels ahead of time. Like, so for example, here are tomorrow's levels today. I'll just throw them out right now. We'll get right back to the discussion. I, I tend to have an easy time making money buying through support or shorting through resistance at exactly these levels on these names. No vagueness, complete, straightforward, not hard to miss. Screenshot it if you want those levels or go back, pause. Here's the point of the video. I have spoken to dozens of traders who are automating Newsbeat algorithmic strategies that we teach on our Newsbeat Bandit course and making money. The one common thing that I've either read emails or talked to people about when it comes to this, the one thing that I've learned that when it comes to this is they are finding the success applying the Newsbeat names that we talk about. That's where they find the algorithmic success. So you literally have bandits who are literally sending out a robot to rob the train. And I have to think about this because I know there are a lot of services out there that offer you to code things. And given my experience, given the fact that I have experience being hired for algorithmic coding, I just thought if these strategies that I do really work, which I know they do, but let's take it to the next level. Wouldn't you be able to automate them? Because the best strategies on Wall Street, the most money on Wall Street is all being made by robots. The robots are the best traders on Wall Street, pound for pound, dollar for dollar. What if we could take advantage of just small, unique situations to have this robot make money for us? And I just want you to know as I say this, I encourage everybody who has any strategy that they like, no matter where it came from, no matter who it came from, maybe you invented it yourself, to give this thing a shot on paper, practice trade back testing, and see if this is something that you find intriguing. Because the strategies we offer in the Newsbeat Bandit course, there are people, lots of them, who are making lots of money, and they are doing absolutely nothing but what we talked about. These strategies, very shameless plug right there. Just go to t3live.com/bandits if you're interested in finding out what those strategies that are being automated are. And I was sort of humbled by this because at the moment right now, I am not running any of my strategies automated. But I was thinking to myself that maybe I should. Who would be a better money manager, a human or a robot? What would you guys think? Type in 11 if you think human, 22 if you think robot. How many of you think who do you think is going to have more emotional slips, a human or a robot? All right, 22. All right. You're all saying 22. Senor Roboto Indido. Bandito. And how about who's more likely to miss a trade, a human or a robot? A human or a robot? Who's more likely to miss a trade? Human or 11? Human 11? Exactly. No. Ironically, you have the last name Borg, but you guessed incorrectly, Scott, which is totally awesome, by the way. Um, that is totally. Look, it's their rhetorical questions, ladies and gentlemen. I get it. I get it. They're rhetorical questions. But I encourage everybody to see if that's the thing, because what I do is I look to see every reason why traders are failing. And all my strategies are ultimately were derived from ways to prevent traders from failing. I feel people who by the way, some people bet higher on others than the same strategies. I have found that most strategies out there cannot break 45%. Yeah, you have traders taking those strategies trading 60%, just like you have traders trading 30%. But on average, you're not going to get more than 45% hit rate on any strategy that you see out there, unless you're doing something with infinite risk, like shorting out of the money, call options and things like that, where you could bat 80, 90, 95%, but the one day you're wrong is the one day you don't have a trading account anymore. One of those types of things. But those strategies aside, the general buy, sell, simple strategies based on anything, whether it's candlestick, whether it's moving averages, you're not really batting over 45% on average. That's not to say you have a trader who just took one of those trades and batted 100%, right? But with over a longer sample size, you're not going to do 45%, even if you do well early and bad later on. And I think that's the important thing. So, in, interestingly enough, I would consider it again. Um, would have to talk more about it. It's nothing that I am promising right now, but I just wanted to leave you guys with that idea and thought behind your trading. Maybe the hardest thing about trading is just being a human being, and who would want to get rid of that? How about the Newsbeat challenge for the coming week? Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for the Newsbeat challenge? All right, so we have a bunch of names that are reporting this week that we're looking to trade on the intraday. Tuesday's Newsbeat challenge will be JD.com, and you could just see it right over here. I mean, this stock, Chinese names, gotten beaten up with the market ever since the market dropped. Stock had decent earnings last time. We're gonna talk a little about their earnings. They announced 33 cents versus the 12 cents expected. 18 billion ahead of the 17.6 billion expected. And they saw Q2 revenue growth at 19 to 23% compared, higher compared with the second quarter of last year. So they are showing that they're growing. This is what they did on their earnings day. They reported right here on the morning of May 10th, and the stock basically gapped up like a dollar 60. Excuse me, gapped up like $2.70 and then fell down. So it is definitely a volatile name. It put in decent little range there, $2.56 range on May 10th. So I'm going to be watching that one to trade on Tuesday, and then I'm going to explain um, what I'm going to do with the names, of course, after I discuss them. But just real quick, we have LK, that's the Chinese coffee company, as you guys know, and they've never reported earnings, but I will say this, it's hard to really decipher a Chinese name, but if I were to put my money on the pre-release of that, which I'm looking to trade it intraday after they report, but I would put my money bullishly. Now, again, I'm the same one who gave you the Starbucks video. And the reason why I say that is because I base Starbucks being gapping up on earnings and being profitable. I base that on Chinese growth of coffee. And China is really growing the coffee market. There's probably things about Luckin Coffee that you don't know, which I'll share with you today, that they're actually growing in the Middle East. they're actually growing in the Middle East. Not only that, analysts are showing that coffee is not getting hurt by this trade war. People are still going to drink their damn coffee so they can wake up in the morning and get through their day. Um, so what's happening? Luckin Coffee, back on July 22nd, they announced that they signed a memorandum of understanding with Kuwait food company Americana, a Kuwaiti food company called Americana. And what they do is they're going to integrate their food all over the Middle East, all over the Middle East. So they're tapping into big markets there, with coffee being strong, with the biggest part of Starbucks report. For if you go back to the video before they reported, again, this was that big gap up. We were even talking about $100 on Starbucks. That actually never happened. It hit 99.72. Anyway, point being is the biggest part of Starbucks was that their coffee sales in China were great, and that's what I said look out for. I humbly believe that Luckin can also have great numbers in China. There are enough people in China that need to drink coffee, whatever it is. I think people are going to be buying this coffee. I think they are going to be expanding rapidly. You know, they're breaking into the Middle East right now. Coffee is just something people love. And if it's branded correctly, I mean, how many of you guys drink coffee every day? I'm sure some of you don't, but a lot of us do. It's a $6 billion company, which is, again, modest. It's a modest sized company. If you want to look at Starbucks, it's 115 billion. So it definitely feels like there's room to grow in a company like this. Nonetheless, I thought I'd bring it out. The big name I wanted to actually discuss on my list. Can any of you guys guess right over here? What's the big name that I'm going to talk about? Canadian Solar. Canadian Solar. That's probably actually the smallest one of the smaller names there. But I wanted to talk about CSIQ and their earnings coming up because, as you know, most solar is done in China. Um, it's funny to be named Canadian Solar Company. Is it a Canadian company or is it a Chinese company? But wanted to just uh, wanted to just go ahead and discuss some of their earnings. I think they are going to knock it out of the park. I think they are going to knock it out of the park. And so what happened was on their last quarter, they lost 29 cents a share, but the analysts thought that they were going to lose 49 cents a share. This was right over here, which they last reported. And I want to talk a little about that. They thought, but here's the thing next quarter, which is the one they're reporting this week for Thursday's trade, they actually reported 970 to 1.01 billion dollars. That's like 990 million on average. The consensus was 864.5 million. So I have no idea how a solar company in this environment can make 126 million more than what consensus analysts thought, but they are doing something big. And I don't know exactly what that is, but they are bringing that money through the door. Since those earnings, they signed a deal, a subsidiary of them called Recurrent Energy, signed a deal with Anheuser-Busch, maker of Budweiser beer. They also signed a deal with Energy Transfer is the name of the company. It's a Dallas-based Fortune 100 oil and gas company. They signed a 500 megawatt module supply contract for projects in Spain. They're doing more business in Vietnam. They signed a commercial operation. They're awarded 51.1 megawatt solar photovoltaic project in Brazil. And they're also doing it in Alberta. So what I realized, the only thing this company isn't is A, Canadian, and B, they're doing business around the world. And they're signing contracts all over, and they're destroying analyst consensus. And we actually made money. I don't know if you guys remember on May 30th. Look back at your P&Ls on May 30th. You'll probably see that CSIQ had a very nice move, a very, very nice move. think there was a little video on the one and done. Did some? Hold on, let me see. Hold on one second. I'm actually going to show you something. No, that was a different name. That was SunPower. Never mind. Um, but yeah, I think CSIQ has a lot of room to the upside here. Again, Chinese solar company, and they've been expanding rapidly and just destroying analysis estimates. I'm going to be watching it. I'll be keeping an eye on it. I'm fairly bullish on it though on CSIQ. So right over here again are the levels here. We talked about the algo trading is good for you. There should be a little question mark, right? And we shared with you the algorithmic resistance levels. And here are my final thoughts. My final thoughts is that in trading, you have to keep growing. You have to keep trying new things, things that make it easy for you to sleep at night, things that are not going to cause insurmountable amount of stress. You might not believe it right now, but there is no money in the world worth phenomenally high levels of stress. It really isn't. Really isn't. You could say, Mark, $100 million, I'll go through some stress, but like, what if that stress had to be for like the next 15, 20 years to make 100 million? And most of you would probably say 100 million. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I don't even own $100 million, and I would not go somewhere remotely close to going through high amounts of stress. The whole point of trading is to be as stress free as possible. You can't make it 100% stress free, but you could reduce it massively. And when you start looking at these Newsbeat Bandit strategies and we start talking about potential automation here, just floating around the thought process of something that you might like to do, especially with the Newsbeat strategies, as so many traders are finding success with it, I would just stop and think about where you want to be as a trader. And not only where you want to be, where you can see yourself being. I want to be in the NBA, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. I had hoop dreams growing up. I played a lot of basketball. Grew up in the wrong neighborhood, played a lot of basketballs. Pretty good, but never that good. And that's okay. The whole point in trading is to not be the best trader on the planet. You'll never really get there, or if you are going to get there, you're going to be one of the richest people in the world, and then congratulations, that one person could be that, right? But for the rest of us humanoids here, I think trading needs to be a way to be consistently profitable and give you as least stress and definitely not a ton of anxiety as possible. So taking control of your money is not just dumping it at the market's hands and praying for a good situation to happen. Making money in the market consistently, day in and day out, takes the type of discipline where you're only spending your time trading in the most correct manner possible, meaning there are wrong ways to make money. There are wrong ways to make money. There are right ways to lose money. But if you have all your trades and you discover, and again, shameless plug for a Newsbeat Bandit course over here, which teaches you all these things. It's the only course out there in existence that literally says these 6 strategies might not be good for you. You might be doing something else right now that's better for you. How many trading courses say that? Most trading courses are my way or the highway. The unique part about this course is not just these 6 killer strategies. The unique part about the course is it teaches you if you can actually do any of them, and if you can or can't, and what else you can do, and actually prove it to yourself. And it will garner you insurmountable amounts of confidence once you go through the course. People ask me how long this course is. It's like officially 6.5 hours, but I will tell you it takes around 40 to 50 hours of work to complete the course. And that throws people off because it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort to discover who you are. A lot of people, and I even freely say it, if you cannot dedicate that 40 to 50 hours over whatever amount of time that you deem necessary, actually tell people to not take the course. Because, yeah, it'll bring you some value, but you're not going to really understand the entire basis and foundation of it. And that's why I tell people if you can't spend the 40 to 50 hours, don't do it. Some people will buy it and they still haven't spent their 40 to 50 hours yet. Life calls for whatever reason. Don't be lazy. Do not be the lazy trader who does not want to put in work. That is most traders, and that's why most traders lose. This course will actually, and again, just the reason why I'm showing it to you is because this sort of course, when you actually put the work into it, a 6.5 hour course takes 40 to 50 hours. Think about that for a moment. You will actually discover what you're good at. Now, in terms of these names, we are going to be applying things from that course on these names. JDLKM CGC, a little pot name over there reporting. We have some Tilray's reporting as well, by the way. We have a lot of, it's like China and marijuana is what's reporting. CSIQ, Alibaba, Walmart, Nvidia, AMAT, and these type of names, we're going to literally just be applying what we do through the course on those names. And there are going to be traders in there. Who knows how many, right? I just know from the ones I spoke to who just fully automate these strategies and they just run them all day. Who do you think really are the most consistent traders? Hope you guys enjoyed the Newsbeat show and the names for the Newsbeat challenge. Happy trading, make money. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the Newsbeat live trading broadcast. Have a wonderful evening.